Welcome to the Clay Hills of South Carolina. A new project for us today, very interesting. Different soil type to deal with, the clay, different trees and varieties of ground covers and plants. Unique for us and hopefully you on another designer's landscape. Really thought it would be a good idea to get you familiar with the project. And as you see, first off, this naturally heavily wooded area, we've got a combination of some turf grass going in here with some interesting landscape beds that we'll show you. The house is unique in that the semicircle landscaped area is raised. The driveway is recessed and goes all the way around to the front door. So this retention wall is actually holding the front yard inside the semicircle drive up. And you see a problem here, some wash, some erosion. And really what that's telling us now at this point is, wouldn't it have been nice if we extended the wall and it went a little further to prevent the water from eroding here. So this is what we're going to do, bring in, and this is a temporary cure. You can come back and patch this up, this wall later with this matching material, but with the segmental retaining wall, we'll come in and shoot a wall here straight into the earth, just like that. This will be walled up, and then we'll float this down. Can you see on top of here how we're way above grade at the driveway? So we need to come in with a box blade, scrape and pull all of this off, recess it, take these heads and lower them, so that they're really down to grade, and our sod or whatever we have here, again, will match up with the paved driveway. I want to bring you down the drive and show you with our plant material that's arrived. We had to put it somewhere, and really this is going to service us well as kind of a holding area till we start placing some of our varieties and trees and plants. And boy, we have exciting things to talk about there, but we've got a ways to get before we reach that point. Can you tell now, thinking about drainage, I showed you water coming off there, water coming from this side, you'd end up with a lot of water here. And so that's really created the necessity for this drain, which handles quite a bit of stormwater wash. All the way here, he brings it really to the front door and takes it all the way down here. Then again, I mentioned this wall. As a raised bed, we don't want plants that are this tall. We want to use a lot of ground covers so that the view is somewhat beautiful or enhanced from where you see it, as well as passing by. I think with these existing trees too, we do have a limited amount of sunlight, but can we still run bed lines and turf grass that make this so park-like and pleasing that it's really appealing? Some other challenges as far as drainage and water control over here, we've really come in to build another segmental retaining wall between the upper drive and what's the garage drive there. We've got this big fall off. So our goal is to make a planter out of that. We'll use turf grass in here to kind of connect us between these two drives. The segmental retaining wall will act as a planter, maybe a tree go in there with some other landscape uses. Also, we'll show you this back wall. The concept is that we've got a little green belt floating along the lower part, this lower drive that goes into the garage bays like I mentioned. And then back up here where the wall ends on this other side. Again, drainage or grade is a little bit of a tough call here. We need to scrape some of this off so that if our sod does roll up here, we've just got a smoother transition. You can tell we've got some bumps and humps to grade out, a lot of handwork yet even to do, but at least we're getting started. I thought we'd take a moment and really head toward the back and show you how steep the incline was here on the side yard. We're finishing up some irrigation, have to place the heads here. We need a little bit of screening for the air conditioners on this side of the house. And then we kind of level off here. Sod is going to help stabilize this part of the entire yard or landscape. But this is what I wanted to show you, the view in the back. Beautiful, isn't it? In other words, this is what brings the whole picture together. Now, we kind of drop off in a steep way to the back, a cliff almost down to the water. We've chosen a special way to try to make this low maintenance. Let's share that with you. I just can't wait to see it when it all germinates. It's going to look good.
It's going to be pretty.
I want you to meet Ted Martin, our Hydroseed contractor here on the job. And Ted, I see a green mountain behind me here. What's going on?
Well, we had a steep slope situation here that was going to be a maintenance problem, and we're trying to create something that the homeowner could have a pretty backyard, but yet not have to worry about getting on it. I'd hate to think I had to get a lawnmower on that slope.
I tell you, that would be tough. So the game plan was to come up with hydroseeding and put a mix together that would really provide low maintenance. So what have we really used here today?
We've used our wood fiber fertilizer. We used a 3-seed mix. We've got weeping love grass, which will eventually be the main thing here. It will come up about knee-high, spread and stabilize this bank. We've got wildflower seed in it for some color in the spring, and then we've put some ryegrass in it to give us something green here real quick to hold this thing together for the winter.
Ted, sounds like you had quite a mix there going. Quite a few ingredients there,
we tried to do something here that would really, work on this project.
Well, now, again, you mentioned the love grass, and we're looking for that to really be our long-term stabilizer to this big bluff or hill or mountain, as you might want to call it. But I heard you say ryegrass, so we're hoping that will germinate right away.
Ryegrass, if we get the kind of weather we've been having lately, probably within a week or 10 days, we'll have a green slope.
Good, good. And then as the spring or summer kicks in, that heat,
the ryegrass will burn off, and the love grass will germinate and come up
and on its way.
The wildflowers should germinate in there with it next spring and throw a little pretty color to it.
That's a nice touch, I'm hoping.
A little pretty touch.
Again, maintenance-wise, who would want to sod or mow or have to work with this hill? But the love grass really should be so thick that we shouldn't have
a weed problem. We shouldn't have to do anything here. This should be fixed and done from now on.
Tell me again about, other than the seed, I heard you mention fertilizer, what else kind of went into the mix to help, and how did it help?
Well, we added the mulch we used was a mulch that had tack in it, but we also, being as this was a steep bank, we added some extra tackifier, which will help hold the mulch together and to the ground. We used
that kind of keeps everything from wetter, longer, and just it
we also put in a solution that will help. It makes the water stick and hold better. It breaks up the density of the water to where it will stay wet longer.
I see.
We put a germination enhancer in here to try to punch this ryegrass up a little quicker.
Okay. And all those are not like you have to, but those
little things that, depending on what we're doing and the severity of it and what we're trying to do, we use these various things.
And then the color of the fiber tells you really where you've been.
Where you've been. That's the main reason for the dye, is to give me some idea where I've been and what I'm doing.
Sure. And again, we see this big mountain here. I can't wait to see it all germinate and come together. And I think this is still the best way to kind of solve this so-called problem.
It would be the only way. Trying to sod that or do a regular type seeding on that slope would be almost impossible.
Yeah, I agree. So hats off to you.
Thank you.
Great job, and we appreciate you visiting with us today.
Glad to have been here.
Yeah. Friends, I would like you to meet Daniel Herlong. He's the superintendent here on the job. Daniel, tell me about the soil and the conditioning that you've been doing here.
All right, this is our native Carolina soil here. Like I said, this dirt here has been brought in to the job site. It's been filtered one time.
Nice and clean then on the top.
That's right. Huh? It's nice and clean on the top. You can see no roots, no big rocks. You know, like I said, we've had some rain. It made it real tight and compact again. And then we had to go back over it with a pulverizer. And
yeah, what does that do? I mean, I saw you using that on the tractor.
Yeah, the pulverizer, what it does, it serves many purposes. One of them, it kind of aerates the ground. picks up any big debris, leaves your fine soil behind.
So we're loosening that top part so the
That's
grass
right.
roots or
Yeah.
really other
Actually,
plant roots can kind of get off to a good start.
That's
so to
right.
speak.
If you got good tines on your pulverizer, it gets down to about 3 to 4 inches,
Good.
and softens that dirt up for them roots.
It's certainly
to really,
fluffed in. It's also helped in that drying out then
That's
phase
right.
or stage of it, huh?
It gets it to where the air can get to it, dries it out.
This in a short period of time, it's amazing how good you've made it look. And I think some of the other parts of the property aren't as user-friendly. I mean, there's some slopes and some shade and it's a little wet there.
We still got a few slopes that's still fairly wet.
I tell you, we've got the retention wall over there by the garage ready to go. Thinking about putting one of our Foster hollies in there.
Okay.
Can you give me a hand with that? I've started drawing some of the lines in here for you to visualize how we're going to roll turf grass through here. Out of all the trees in this little semicircle island, I'll call it, most of them are in beds, but we can't do it to all of them, believe it or not. I hope you can see now as I draw this additional complementary curve bed line, I'm walking in the turf grass. The side over here is going to be plant material, maybe a small little patio tree or so, and I'm just kind of bringing this right down through here to kind of meander us through around this oak tree and head toward the other part of the drive. When you think about it, complementary curves at some point, they almost have to bottleneck and then open back up again. So we kind of squeeze you through here, and then we're opening things up with one simple, smooth radius that continues all the way to the street. I hope that's visible enough for you to really start to understand the concept. Well, a dogwood tree that ends up in the turf grass, and this double trunk tree here in the turf grass. So 1, 2, 3 that we're going to have grass to mow around, but not too bad for all the other ones we had here. And I don't know if you can see this roll from right to left that exists too. It's anything but flat. So that's going to look even better as we decorate this with sod. Much progress has taken place in the backyard I can't tell you how hard this hill was to accomplish, just having the sod laid here. The maple trees, do you see them? As you spin around, take a view of what the homeowners are going to enjoy. You know, just gazing over this wall, that really the support wall that holds us in from the backyard to the garage part of the driveway. A Japanese maple here along the driveway will look good. And I want you to take a look how this has come together. The segmental retaining wall there with the holly tree installed, but now with the grass. The concept was that the turf from the upper little deck there, the other upper section, kind of floats down here all the way. Now we've got some osmanthus trees, kind of a big bushy tree. We might place one of those here, but there's some things going on in the front that I want you to take note of also. With the sod placed where it is now, the game plan has somewhat come together. We're working on installing another specimen holly on the left side here. What a beautiful tree. These guys weigh about 1,200 pounds a piece, and you see the guys working hard there, kind of muscling them into place, shaping them the best way out. Oh, what a beautiful tree. Now that'll go somewhat natural over there. No sod because maybe some of the intense shade, but we'll tie it together with landscape plants, okay? 1 gallon and 3 gallon. I did a Japanese maple down there by the drive. Another one here for a kind of impression where the homeowners really drive in. And now I want you to see this. The turf, an invitation to come into this part of the yard. And what do you think about our mailbox planting? A specimen Foster holly tree that sets the pace or standard or theme for the rest of the house. As we come on down the line, this beautiful grass has given us what we call instant carpet. I mean, the look is attractive and beautiful. And I don't know if you can see this other maple back here on the wall. That's on this side of the drive. Another nice impression for the homeowner. Come on up through the lawn, and we hope that you'll enjoy seeing how the curves have come together. Remember, with the design concept, we had 3 trees that we said didn't make it into landscape beds, but most all the others do. And we'll have to mow around these, but still, we've accomplished, I think, what we set out to, and that is for the turf grass to meander and bring us through the yard. If you start at the street, it kind of draws you right through here, doesn't it? Can you see the other plant varieties along the driveway, the front of the house? We'll begin setting those up soon. Gonna have to check how our time frame goes because we've still got some more trees to install, as well as these other plants that are gonna make all the difference in the world. Couldn't wait to show you this berm up here, how the turf grass is going to stabilize it. And with the trees installed along here, with a little more time, it'll soften the impact of this big bluff, so to speak. And the turf grass here, now that it's installed, it makes everything look better. Let's talk about azaleas. Now, usually the spring is when azaleas bloom, but you notice the color in here? We're heading into the early fall, and the encore gives you show after show after show. 3 blooms a year. These are going to be beautiful in the landscape. The autumn royalty, these are called, a beautiful purplish color. They attract butterflies at a 4 to 5 foot overall height, but we'll keep these pruned. Look forward to using some of those. still got a ways to go, so join us for the next Designers Landscape, please. We'll be here. New plant varieties, I guarantee you'll love it. I'm Gary Allen. See you.